here in Anderson, Indiana, in the race shops of the latest ARCA winner at Daytona, which I don't think anybody around the country was even thinking was going to happen. Boy, I'd love to see the odds on that. Ricky Stenhouses were bad enough or wild enough, but the odds for Greg Van Alst winning the Daytona ARCA 200 had to be through the roof. that many zeros probably doesn't exist, but no, we're not making fun of Greg, not saying he's not a front runner, but I mean, wow, what a feat, and congratulations, and thanks for having me here in the shop.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It's been a fun few days.
Wow, days, it's going to turn into weeks and months and years, and hopefully that phone slows down ears a little bit, because I want to see the ice box you put it in to keep it from melting on you, because I can just imagine the Zoom and the interviews and the series and just the congratulations, and I would assume it doesn't get annoying, but it's like, you're a business owner, you're a full-time ARCA team owner, you're a husband, you're a father. Do we have any free time left? And it's winter here in Anderson. Thank God, though it's we've had a pretty mild winter up north here. But how do you fit all this in? How do you? I'm going to call you Tenacious G, because how do you do all this?
Lots of help from a lot of good people. A lot of good people around me that believe in what we're trying to do, and I feel like the reward of winning Saturday is makes it all worth it.
Now, you and I had spoke a little bit about it, excuse me, and I know people have said, the David versus the Goliath, and we slayed the giant, and you kind of disagree with that. Maybe you can explain a little more to the people out there why you kind of don't really look at it like that.
With racing's hard work, and the big team everybody talks about is the Venturinis, and man, they've kind of helped us along this journey. And I don't think people think that they're doing stuff like that, but they do things to make the sport of ARCA better. Bill is the one that does our gears for us and helps us there. Billy and his wife run the Dartfish program, and our crew chief Jim Long flies to the track with them, and that's the team that everybody considers the big Goliath that everybody tries to slay, and I don't like that analogy.
I guess it's a good thing you don't think of yourself as small or insignificant like Charlie Brown. He's not insignificant. You are a front-running team.
Well, I'm not saying we're not a small team. I just don't like the idea that like we're out to get them. We obviously we're competitors, right? Like we're racing, and we're that'll never go away. But that team has helped us. The Gibbs team has helped us. Last year GMS helped us a lot. The Rev Racing guys have helped us. So the David versus Goliath analogy I don't think fits as what a lot of people think, because the ARCA garage is such a tight family that the teams that are out there, they do help the smaller teams, and whether it's questions, whether it's hey, my crew chief needs a ride from the airport to the track. I don't think he's ever had a team that was like, no, we're not helping you, or anything like that. So but
don't make him put his thumb out.
yeah, it's but in the terms of competitive nature, they are big teams compared to ours. But those guys were some of the first to congratulate us. And I told you earlier, it was like Bill came over and gave me a kiss, and
the driver, I know, a lot of money. You got it for free.
I know the tradition of that with his drivers and stuff, and afterwards I was kind of like, I wonder how many of how many drivers out there have got that kiss that didn't drive for him.
Right.
So that kind of tells you the people that are in the garage that make this sport what it is.
And I blogged about it on another site, the RacingTimes2.com, and that I felt it was what I got of the Daytona weekend was a feel-good type of thing. Your win. Austin Hill didn't make the 500, but he won the Xfinity race. Zane Smith a couple years ago, he said he didn't know where he was going to go, and now he's won the Daytona truck race 2 years in a row. And then Ricky Stenhouse, he wins for the first time, and I mean, his reputation, how people go through that and all that. And to me, it was just all feel-good stories. But the start of that feel-good story was you. And I know, like you say, you don't look at it as like the small team versus the big team, but sorry, it is. and people love that kind of thing. And the video that preceded this was to say, this is what ARCA was built for. Like yourself, you're 2019 CRA champion, which gave you the right to test with Andy. Is that where you got your feet wet, by the way?
Yeah.
Is that where you got to catch whet your appetite?
Yeah.
So then you go from there to, okay, we're going to run a partial schedule in 2001, and now we're going to run the full schedule 2021 or 22, and now boom, we're out of the box and win the race in 23. And ARCA is built as a training ground, and you're the epitome of that right now. And no offense to, yes, racing takes money. I don't really have problems with rich kids because it takes money. It's not a free thing. But I don't remember the last time a quote unquote non-rich kid won this race, So,
I think you just called me old.
Well, no. Well, you kind of are.
No, yeah, I mean, it's funny because like my daughter, she doesn't grasp what this means. And I've been doing Zoom calls and phone calls, and so they've had moments where it's like, oh, you got to be quiet in the house. And my daughter goes, all for just winning one race. The mouth of babes, right?
Exactly.
There is a group of people out there, whether you want to call them rich kids or whatever, and I don't like that term because I've got sons. At some point, somebody's going to say, hey, the rich kids. But here's what I will tell people and what I believe. Nobody that has got to this level in racing has not gotten to this level without somebody sacrificing. I don't care whether it's dad, grandpa, mom, grandma, whoever it is, somebody worked their tail off to get to this level. It takes money to get there.
Lots of money.
Yes.
Lots of money.
I couldn't do what I do without the help of a lot of people. Our late model championship, that all started with Chris Barkdahl at CB Fabricating.
And I can't imagine how much that costs, let alone this.
Yeah. So it's, without support of guys like him, without the support of my volunteer crew that comes over, somebody somewhere has sacrificed. It doesn't matter. And I don't really like the term rich kids. You're going to be called that one day, trust me. Be ready for it. I don't know that I'll ever get called that, but maybe my sons will,
Right.
And I'm not going to lie, that's going to be kind of another moment in my career that I'm going to be like, we kind of made it to a certain point. But I have friended some of these rich kids because I feel like sometimes they get treated unfair, and I've seen comments and I've seen things happen, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's a people sport, and I guess the biggest thing that is a peeve of mine is I feel like racing fans lose what their passion is. Like they've put more focus on where the money comes from and how somebody is able to get there versus enjoying the race itself. And maybe it's because I'm inside and I see the people for the people, and it is tough to race. So I get that there are guys out there that just want to race, and they may have more passion than the rich kid, and it kind of bothers me sometimes that guys will run races, but then if it wasn't for daddy's money, and I don't agree with it. I just wish people sometimes would watch the racing product for what it is.
Well, social media is around now, so everybody's an expert,
Well, and that's it. And that's in every aspect of everything, right? Somebody's got an opinion, and I don't think there's any way to get away from it.
That genie's never going back in that bottle.
Right. And I guess that kind of goes back to the David versus Goliath question and thought process. You know, when I'm out there racing against some of these kids that I will openly admit, yes, they have paid their way to get in the cars that they're in. I'm not out there going, oh, well, if I had the same money he did, I'd drive around him. I'm trying to figure out how to drive around him. Like, it doesn't cross my mind. I don't, wish and hope and whatnot. It's just,
It's another competitor.
It's
whether
another
he's got 50 million or he's got $5 in.
Right.
Jason White driving for Jeff McClure. Jeff McClure's got basically nothing.
Right.
He's rents shop from Andy Hillenberg.
Yeah.
And Sean Core. Now they've got some money, but not like, it's like you guys. They're in a shop like you guys.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3 is not the quote unquote rich kids. 1, 2, 3 is all the quote unquote underdogs. Any one of you guys, no offense to you, any one of you guys could have won and it'd have been a feel good story.
Right. 100%.
Any single one of you guys.
100%. And I think, I think leading up to this race, this was going to be the year that something like this was going to happen. I've told a couple.
Why do you feel that way?
So guys like Andy Jankowiak, Sean Core, Kitzmiller, the guys that have got experience, right? I felt like there
You got
was
experience wrecking. You get that out of the way.
so you can learn a lot in a little bit of time, even if you do get wrecked halfway through Daytona. But no, I felt like this year was going to be a year that somebody could beat one of the big teams because the big teams were all bringing rookies. I'll sit here and say that I thought Gus Dean was going to be the one to beat because he had the best of the best and he has the experience, right? I just finally watched the race last night and I guess I had fuel pump or rear end issues or whatever.
Yeah, something with the fuel,
Yeah. So I think that kind of opened up for guys with experience that know how to draft, that know how to side draft, that know how to get around and know how to utilize the draft and utilize the runs to get to the front. I mean, I was, what was it, like lap 12 or something like that? We were early on and I'm coming off of turn 4 and I see the yellow number 8 beside me, and I'm like, holy cow.
Didn't he start in the back?
Like, I knew where he started because I seen him wreck, and I gave those guys a can of paint to help paint the nose, right? And I was absolutely dumbfounded that, like, here he was already. So that, I think, is exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. And, I'm not going to lie. When I seen him up there, I thought for myself, well, I'm running for second today, and
You're keying the mic going, hey, I want that kind of speed.
Yeah.
Get me some.
But he used his experience, right? I mean, there was experience versus rookies in that. And yes, a lot of the rookies were in cars that were capable of winning the race, but it was their first race. Mm-hmm. I remember what it was like my first race at Daytona. I'm not going to lie, for the first 20 laps, I wasn't scared. I was just like, don't wreck.
See them knuckles with the gloves.
Right, because you cannot mimic the race in practice. The intensity level when the green flag
or on the
drops,
simulator or whatever.
Right, it totally changes. Everybody gets tighter. You can't see you can't see the yellow line anymore. The air changes. Everything changes. And being our 5th super speedway race, I kind of felt like going in, I had a leg up on some of the competitors.
Because your first 2, you wrecked out, but you were running in the lead pack. I mean, you were, maybe 2-3 rows back each time, if I'm not mistaken. Daytona in 2021?
I think 21.
And Ty hit you from behind, which means you were in front of him.
Well,
when you spun,
so in 21, we got...
At Talladega.
Yeah, we got, I think we were running 3rd or 4th when we got collected. And then at Talladega that same year, I was going for the lead and got bumped through the tri-oval. And Nick Sanchez. I've messed with him since then. But no, I mean, he bumped us through the tri-oval, and then that knocked me into Ty and all that.
So now we know who messed with his motor at Toledo. No,
I'm
just kidding.
No, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. And then last year at Daytona, we were running 3rd, and I felt like last year we had a really good car. Yellow comes out off of 2 and going into turn 3, we got hit under yellow. And I don't know that I've ever been as dejected at a race in my life as that race right there. Now, I ended up finishing the race, so I had gotten my composure by the time, I got out of the car last year, but I don't think I've ever been that mad inside of a race car. And I was
You're not a tiny guy,
furious.
so don't piss off Craig Van Alst.
Right. And then we went to Talladega, and we were actually running good, running up in the front pack. And I think the time was running out or something like that. And they came across the radio and said, hey, next flag is it. And I'm a little unproud of what I had to do, but we were in the lead pack, and I seen it starting to get pretty intense, and I bailed. And we finished 11th with a car that was capable of winning the race, but it was also I had a car to go to Daytona with. I did not want to destroy the car at Talladega because I wanted to get back to Daytona.
Yeah.
That's what Daytona means to guys like that,
Now you're like, see, I was right.
Well, yeah, no, it's perfect plan, right? But I mean, that's not the way you want to be able to race.
Right.
And I had to do what I had to do, and I told my guys that afterwards. Like, I think we could have ran better, but
still 11th.
right.
Wow.
But I mean, when you're running in the top 3, 4, 5 all day, when you come out with an 11th, it stings a little. And I had to do that to
live to race another day.
And I guess at that point, my thoughts were, as the car's in one piece, I can go and we can work on our Daytona car to make it really good for Daytona versus having to put it back together. Right when I bailed is when the front leaders started stacking up. And had I not bailed, I probably would have been right in the mix of it.
Yeah.
So,
but you never know. Now you
Yeah,
know.
you
You know
never
what? I didn't want to put it in the basket either, because you came to Daytona with a black car. I know you said you learned. I thought you said in one interview you learned a lot, but you came to Daytona with black and the fluorescent numbers, and so I'm sure. I mean, were you going to come anyway?
yeah, we were planning on coming anyway. We just so CB Fabricating and myself. Our partnership goes way back, and he puts everything that he can do into our program, and I put everything I can do into our program. And the reality of it is that I spent way too much money last year. I got property right next door to me that I want to buy. That's what guys that are in their 40s think about,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
And I got 4 kids, and wife and I got to talking over the winter, and she said, you do realize that you could have bought that property and probably put all 4 of your kids through college for what you spent this year. And
When you put it like that,
I'm like, she's not mad. She doesn't, she's not the wife that gets been out of shape about it, she just kind of, like, when she said that, it just kind of clicked a little. And talked with CB, kind of told him that, and we've talked over the winter, and I had to have space to sell on the race car, and he's not. He is again awesome partner in this deal, but he's not fully funding, right?
Right.
So we're trying a different approach. He's on the car every race.
Sure.
Some capacity, some way, somehow. He's on the car every race. He will be the guy that we are forever thankful for. But if I have his name all over the car every race,
Oh, he's funded. He don't need me.
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We had 3 potential sponsors that we talked to over the winter, that the initial talks was doing full season, a lot of everything, right? And that was exactly what they told us. They didn't think we needed funding because we looked like we were fully funded. I'm under the belief that if someone treats you well like CB does, we in turn treat them well. I didn't have anybody else, so we put, you know, CB Fabricating all over the car.
It's the rock and the hard place. You don't get a sponsor report without a name on the hood or the side.
Right.
But then again, well,
Right.
you're funded. You don't need me.
Yeah. You know, we've had some conversations, and we're just trying to take it at a different angle. You know, we're going to have some cars this year that they're going to look just like they did last year, you know, you know, like I said, it's a different approach. You know, as of right now, we don't have any additional anything going to Phoenix other than our CB Fabricating support. So
Yeah.
yeah, you never know.
Right. Companies, you hear that?
Yeah. So you know, we have to do things a little different, and I'm okay with that, right? Like again, you know, going back to the rich kids things, if I have to miss a race, I have to miss a race, and it's I don't want to, but if we have to, it's not going to be the end of the world, and I'm not going to lie, winning this race is going to make a lot of things feel really good. I mean, no matter what happens, right? So if we have to miss 3 or 4 races or whatever this year, I mean, we're still Daytona winners. We still won the biggest race of the year. If there is one thing that somebody came to me and said, I have X amount of dollars per race to spend, what would I buy to make myself better? Back then. But I hope my temper through the years never comes out. I break stuff.